Well, good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name's Richard Cruz, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Nick Tate. We warmly welcome the family of Flight Sergeant John Wilbert MacLeod, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors. Could I ask you to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem? The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we pay tribute to Flight Sergeant John Wilbert MacLeod. Born in the town of Benalla in central Victoria on the 17th of September 1923, John Wilbert MacLeod was the son of Walter and Mary MacLeod. When John was young, the MacLeod family moved from Benalla to the Melbourne suburb of East Kew. Following school, MacLeod was employed in the Postmaster General's Department, the forerunner to Australia Post. On the 15th of May 1942, MacLeod enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force. Following enlistment, he began training as an air gunner and before long embarked on overseas service. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, MacLeod was one of almost 27,500 RAAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, gunners and engineers who, throughout the course of the war, joined squadrons based in Britain. After arriving in Britain, he undertook further specialist training and was posted to number 576 Squadron of the Royal Air Force. As part of the Royal Air Force's Bomber Command, number 576 Squadron was equipped with the 4-engine Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. On the night of the 7th of May 1944, the Lancaster, in which MacLeod was air gunner, took part in a raid on German ammunition supply dump at Aubigny-Raconne, south of Le Mans, France. On return from the bombing run, MacLeod's Lancaster was attacked by a German night fighter and shot down near Le Mans. 6 crew members, including MacLeod, were killed in action. Just 2 survived. One evaded escape and the other, the extra man aboard the Lancaster, which usually only had a crew of 7, was the second pilot, Air Commodore Ronald Ivor Chapman. Captured by the Gestapo, Ivor Chapman was the most senior Bomber Command officer captured during the war, but the Gestapo, not realising his seniority, believed he was an ordinary airman. Ivor Chapman survived the war and later rose to the rank of Air Chief Marshal. MacLeod and his crewmates, killed in the crash, were buried in Remy du Plant Communal Cemetery and were later reburied in the British and Commonwealth War Cemetery at Bayeux in Normandy. A memorial stone and hedge was erected by the local villagers and can be found at the site where MacLeod's Lancaster crashed in France more than 70 years ago. John MacLeod was 20 years old. His name is listed on the honour roll on my left, among some 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph and kit bag are displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant John Wilbert MacLeod, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. The going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.